G'day Epics, I'm back. It's been a month. I've been really busy. House, kids, work, everything else. I really wish to execute on this and get these out, but these things happen. I'm studying as well. I've got a lot of projects and I really want to dedicate a lot of time to this one because this is my passion, but sometimes it has to get left to the wayside so I can do other things. I've really enjoyed some good apple pie just now, so I'm feeling great. I've got an apple and cinnamon tea next to me, ready to go, and I'm going to go through Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff, and we're going to pick up from basically 161 pages onwards. It's going to be roughly there. I do try and leave it somewhere where it's going to be it's going to be good, but you can't always hit that mark. So, to kick off, the terrors are terrifying. These little kids, they're as hard as stone on the inside and out, and eerily cold and eerily nauseatingly horrible. So the terrors were asking Gabs and Celine if they would just give up Dior. Just give them up. We don't have to worry about it too much. Give her up and we'll just leave you alone and you can be on your way and then we'll be on our way. Seemed like a bit of a cold promise, like it wouldn't actually happen, but that was what they tried to do. And it's, in a way, it's an attempt to kind of make the problem go away. And I guess they also didn't know these two who would refuse and take care of the Grail. They'd be super committed to Dior, and they had their reasons why. So the terrors did the old trick of sending the undead in full force. So they sent their cold bloods and thrall swords to wear down Celine and Gabs, and they put up a pretty good battle. And I guess it allows the terrors to strike when they're tired and when they're hurt. But it is interesting that the terrors just didn't straight up try and attack them themselves. They could probably take out Gabs and Celine pretty easily considering their power, although I don't know. And it would save their fodder, which is also another good thing, so they can plan for that. But maybe they're just respectful or scared of what Gabs and Celine can do, so they're just trying to do their best efforts of keeping it under wraps. Kiara outsmarted everybody and outsmarted the terrors by drinking from that golden vial, this interesting golden vial that they're drinking from, and then proceeded to smash the stone bridge to pieces beneath everybody's feet, and the terrors included. So the terrors dropped, and the drop wouldn't have hurt them. They would have landed probably on their feet, but it did remove them from the fight, and it is a long way up and they can't fly. So that was a interesting way to do it, smart way to do it, and congrats to Kiara. This did leave Celine holding on to Gabs, who was holding on to Dior. Both of them were dangling off what was left of the bridge. Dior scrambled up, but old Gabs was dropped to his doom on purpose by Celine. What a stupid decision. Celine then had to give up Dior to Kiara and Blood Divok to survive. What a total chump. Celine, you goddamn idiot. But that's just part of the story, I guess. This is around where we discover Celine is also in captivity by the Chastains. Again, don't know how to say that. Just going to roll with that name though. She is brought in to fill in the gaps of Gab's story and also to play a bit of devil's advocate maybe. And this is where I started to notice a change in pace from the Empire of the Vampire, the first book. So this is really interesting. It's like going from a spewing chaotic energy from a chimney, which is Gabs, to like a cold needle of pure hate and rage of Celine. And this really does make me think that Jay is just a really good writer. He's able to go between two characters and make you feel how they would act in real life. The transitions between the characters is done nicely, and just generally all the different characters inside both books so far have had their they've been developed well, and you can really feel who they are individually. So again, great writer. Aaron, the cost. Don't know how to say it again. So this is brutal. He's been put through the ringer. He was turned into a vampire, stashed in a coffin on the way to Dunmerigan. Again, don't know how to say that one, so just going to roll with that. With his silver skin burning him constantly, and then also forced to feed on his own people as well. So yeah, like it was really, really hard to read this, and so like the torture of Aaron through the book was actually brutal. I wasn't able to keep reading through some of it because it was like when it did bounce off, it seemed to get me into a bit of a maybe squirm quite a bit while reading it. But that is the book, so that's fine. That's what I've signed up for. But it still didn't sit nicely with me. Not that what he wrote was not nice, but the scenario wasn't nice. Heavy. Having the feeding farms being described in detail kind of helped me understand the scope of the systematic horrors of this world. It's shocking and kind of breathtaking at the same time. Also, Kiara trying to justify all of what the vampires do by saying humans hunted them down or hunted the vampires down and killed a lot of them, and now that the vampires are the apex predator, it's time for payback and some. So there's little love for humans, and you can tell they're used like cattle in all regards. As the baggage train or the human train pulled up to Dunmerigan, having the two people in cages literally thrown to the horde of cold-bloods to thrash and consume was, again, brutal and kind of horrifying, and the way in which there's like the nonchalance, how kind of it was just like, whatever, so we'll just throw these because they need to eat as well. Kind of just describes the way in which the humans are used like cattle. The systematic approach to it was totally brutal. I had an inkling that Dior's blood would make the people who are thralls not thralls again, so they became human again. It's interesting that she heals the people who have not only their body bringing back to life, but removing that connection. That's interesting. Not sure how it's going to play in later on, but I think it's a good point, and I think it will play in later on in the story somehow. Also, the story of Nikita's dad feeding the lamb that Nikita took care of to Nikita and then beating the absolute crap out of him was brutal. I guess it helps describe why they are the way they are, and also the thralling, if you will, of Aaron was tragic. So they thralled Baptiste and then forced Aaron to submit by saying he'll kill his lover. Baptiste is messed up and tragic in all regards, and it kind of feels like it's this continuation of like this trauma story playing out, and it's just this like huge continuation of, and it's just all pain and there's just more pain happening. Really, really good writing, super interesting as well. The Golden Vial is also interesting. I'm thinking that look, I'm just spitballing here. It may be the blood from the old Esana or Sani in Dunmerigan, because I know that there's one in there right now, or one. They've said that there's one in there right now, so they might be using that one to convert the blood somehow. Although I don't think so, because most vampires, apart from the Esana, can't drink the blood of vampires. So that's interesting. So we'll see how that plays out. In closing, the utter bloodbath of the Divok, the killing rooms, the scene where the old lady, or the two people, so one of them was an old lady, was thrown out to the undead vampires, was particularly brutal. The bargains with the terrors, and then the Divok realizing they will need more humans for food, otherwise they're going to go hungry soon, meaning there is a lot of planning that goes into taking an area. There has to be enough food for the next push. The Divok have more or less bitten off more than they can chew. So they've been a bit silly and a bit stupid in that regard, and maybe a bit too hungry, which maybe kind of builds into who they are as well. They're not really planners, they're fighters. The relationship building with Phoebe and Gabs, and the betrayal of Gabs' old wife, that's pretty brutal. Also, this is kind of funny. Also, old Gabs got desperate and almost shagged the thrall, Malene. Poor bastard. The relationship between Lilith and Nikita is interesting. Lilith is the secret power here, but Nikita, the head of the power in the clan. So kind of how most of history is kind of played out. I'm interested in the fact that Dior's blood may have healed the thralls of their worship, and how that's going to play out. This is something that I can't quite see what's going to happen with it, and it's really, really interesting, and it's all just totally brutal. So thanks for listening. I can be found on facebook.com/mostly epic fantasy. I'm also on Patreon, so patreon.com/mostly epic fantasy. I believe I've set it to be $1, but now I've kind of discovered that it's different costs in different places, so I'm trying to figure out a way to make it $1 in Australia, because that's where I am. I'm going to potentially move away from Facebook and go to Instagram and start making reels, but I have to figure out a little plan for that and see what I wanted to do there. Anyway, thank you for listening. Really, really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully in a week and not in a month, but again, depends how I execute. All right, ciao.